done in this situation, and him being slightly on the edge of zone, if not out, he has to start getting information that is vital to his success. And even one more team going down, he'll start to get placement points on top.
Problem as a solo, though, is that there's only so many directions you can look at once, and overhead, Swizzy, Mustache, QUEASY, they're already starting to break through. You saw that first knock take place right now for Swizzy, and he's still after another Ritual and PETERBOT. They don't even realize they're being shot from underneath, but it's actually Sphinx who's taking down PETERBOT in this lobby. Shadow from behind, never sees it coming. Swizzy's got that elimination, and Muzz trying to save his teammate's life, but can the double revive actually come to fruition with Swizzy applying so much pressure?
Yeah, multiple players, and he has that exotic, which is so much damage, just tearing through those builds. But you can see, as Sony uses zone, hold on over, they kind of brought themselves back. Probably QUEASY making the call. We have to start to rotate. This zone is vital for our success. If we can get high ground here, that could be our 4th game win. But while one team's having an easy game, Iamzo and Clicks, with one of them being down, Iamzo's trying to get him back up. They have 1 crash pad left in their inventory, 6 splashes for the HP if they need it, some Flowberry Fizz, but it is a far pull for a duo to have.
A little bit sad there for Mustache. He really wanted to see if he could get a good chunk out of Acorn, Agers, and Boyo on that rotate, but crash pads are out along with the Flowberry Fizz. Iamzo's immediately going to try to claim a position towards the front side, but hold back for a second here. A little bit split from Clicks. Clicks going to build right back up for his teammate's dad. He needs some of these chuck splashes, but of course, another rotate. There is no time to stop, especially with QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache right back at home base on the high ground.
That happened so fast, you blink, you might have missed it, because now there's a whole other team on top. They're getting battled out, chopped down even once, with the consistency for them to remain in the clouds. It's absolutely amazing. Swizzy, Mustache, and QUEASY making it look easy. Down below, everybody is at their disposal. And this is where we know what they do. They just target out second height over and over and over. They reconnect along the way. So teams are gonna have to think of something different here compared to yesterday.
Savage Chef and Reason seem like they're a little bit more intent on just trying to stake out these front side rotations. But for Clicks and Iamzo, it's likely going to be a backside of zone play. They're going to have to find a refresh. They have hardly any materials to work with. Iamzo doing what he can to drop whatever build he can for Clicks, but there's nowhere safe to tarp out through inside of these lower layers. Everybody is frazzled here. Yapko, Panther, and Seti also in a very strong top 3 position, and they want to hold on to it, Jacob.
They don't want to let it go. They worked way too hard to get this far. To go down here in 15th place. Storm Surge still active, forcing players to fight one another. Even though they have to rotate to the zone, they're trying to keep their 3rd place spot intact. They're only 8 points behind as we stand in this game, but Mustache, Swizzy, and QUEASY are just double tarping, making sure to reinforce. But Venno, their two are trying to look up. At one point or another, maybe 2 zones ago, they were the team on high ground, but it got stolen away. Up goes Acorn! They're ready to battle it out! M8 versus M8 as Boyo's ready to take on the competition, but toward the backside of zone, they chop it all down. QUEASY, he saw that one coming from a mile away.
That's exactly why they had Mustache overhead, still looking to try and build things out here, but Swizzy blocking off Acorn so professionally. Everybody's been chopped though. They're all falling down. Agers has been eliminated. Boyo and Acorn trying to go right back up on the height, but it's Malabuka, it's Lux, it's Ping. They're the ones that have fully overthrown the high ground. They're the ones that are ready to find their first victory royale.
Mustache, QUEASY still as a duo, but they're still holding that 1st place spot. Kanata is going to go down. Only 3 of the teams in our top 5 still alive. Mustache, QUEASY, they're trying to be heroes, but QUEASY not only takes a big shot, he loses Swizzy across the way. Mustache has to figure out a way to reunite into the same box, and they do that very, very quickly, but it's not going to matter. QUEASY goes down, Mustache gets the elimination, but he's all by himself.
The family sacrifice might have been everything that they needed, though. Mustache tarping like a madman, just trying to block off every possible angle. He knows there might be an opening, a teammate underneath that's just so much worse off than he currently is. But instead, it's both Kanata and Rapid. He's looking to play spoiler, but he can't get enough damage applied. Mustache still, somehow, some way, tarping through this middle layer, and nobody seems to be cutting him off just yet, but he's running out of material, and Malabuka walks from overhead. They've lost Ping. Ping thought that he could take out Darm in the process. Instead, he loses his own life.
Somehow, Rapid, Kanata, both all still alive on the low ground. Even with both going down, they got the front side of zone and a chance to get the revive. A couple eliminations being cleaned up. Vico trying to stay alive. Malabuka and Walk still on high ground, raining and fire down from above. They get that knock on the Kanata, and you see the Flowberry Fizz coming out. They're getting ready. The inevitability, the drop down from above. It comes in. Kanata gets cleaned up. The Siphon comes into play. Walks is doing damage. Malabuka Pings that took it all, Frankie.
On board.
Malabuka walks Ping. All it takes is a quick pan over. And M8 is going to send a surging roar through this arena. That has got to be such an amazing feeling. But saw a glimpse of Mustache just now, and this could be trouble brewing for both of these teams.
Yeah, and you know, Tackle, you'll know better than anyone else commentating over this trio this year. They're so good when it comes to momentum. They pick up that first win, they keep things rolling. This game will be a big sign of whether or not these guys are really here to play in this competition, or whether it was a one-hit wonder.
Especially after that Game 7 win being in such a commanding fashion, too. But that's the gameplay that we were almost expecting to see in day one. But as long as they manage to capture that kind of performance in this secondary day, there might not be a point amplifier, but there's still plenty of opportunity to catch up on some positioning in the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm always saying you got to leave no regrets behind when you play on such a big stage like this with a huge life-changing amount of money. And I think yesterday, some teams may have played just a little bit too safe compared to how they played during the majors to qualify for this global championship. Being able to go back last night, VOD review, and really figure out what was going wrong. You're seeing a more aggressive pace coming out from some of these teams. Not exactly every step of the way, but when they get a key knock, when they get some good damage, they're now starting to play more and more aggressive, and most importantly so, more and more teams, just like Poyo, Agers, and Acorn that we see here, are willing to contest that high ground in the later portions of this game.
Gentlemates will certainly be happy to see Poyo back up and in the running, but you have to wonder, Levin, what does their surge actually look like? They seemed a bit desperate there, trying to find some additional surge trades with Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, but it's the backdrop pressure. iDrop catching Acorn completely off guard, but there's such a direct path that they have to take into zone. They can't sit outside any longer, and it's just making them too prone to being picked off in the process.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game to fight your way back into. So many of our teams here just set up so well. Everything looking incredibly cozy for Demus and Picks right now. And they'll continue to pressure some of the teams looking to make their way on into that safe zone.
Just gotta let it sit and appreciate it after all, but Poyo, Gentlemates, they can hear everything surrounding them, but Poyo, he's gonna look to try and close in on the surge base. Again, desperation factoring in, heavily 500 below. They've got to get damage online. They've got to do it ASAP before they find themselves being taken out of this lobby entirely. Poyo, Agers, scrambling, but it's not enough. They can't stand tall. Cammy, Hardy, and iDrop now benefiting exclusively from those siphon materials.
Cammy could smell the desperation on those guys, and they capitalize. Unfortunately, it was always going to be an uphill battle for Poyo and his trio. That was a tough, tough game, but there's still a couple more for them to get back in it. Cammy, though, now looking much better off after being able to pick up some of them siphon nets.
Yeah, and it was actually iDrop who got that initial knock and elimination onto Acorn, leaving them that far below the damage threshold. Now the zone pulling up over towards the north. This is a good zone for the majority of the lobby. There's not too many different elevation changes, especially drastic ones at that. It's just as long as it doesn't pull towards the west. That's what the entire lobby has to be hoping for right now, including Pings, Walks, and Malabuka. From high ground, victory royale in that last game to low ground for now. But this is exactly kind of the same pace they were taking. It wasn't until zone 10, maybe even 9, that they actually went up for that high ground and held it for the rest of the game. But you're seeing some teams above the damage threshold with their eliminations, but 4 eliminations though, Veno, Vico, and Flixie, they're 178 below the damage threshold. They know they have their work cut out for them and get focused outside of the lobby, making it hard for them to find their way in without burning through these materials.
They've at least got an ample amount of mats though, so they're not too pressed just yet, but they're gonna have to start to kick things into overdrive because Vico, Flixie, Veno, they're still sitting underneath that damage threshold. They've got Oceana directly next to them. This is the first fight they can find. This is the first fight they're gonna take, and Anon immediately beamed, thrown back. That's all the damage that they needed, just barely pushing them above the threshold line.
Those are the fights that they strive for. Those are the fights that they are so effective in. We've seen it all year long. They'll find themselves in tough situations like that and create their way out of it.
511 damage here. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid. They had a fantastic game number 1. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up that VR, like Kanata said, to start the day, but they're here again with another opportunity with Rapid and Bolts by his side. His IGL, his Fragger, that's a lot of confidence that's continuing to brew in that trio. Same here for Pixstorm and Demus. As I said, underdogs to top dogs. Levin, this team is probably one of the biggest surprises in EU, right?
Yeah, these guys have been phenomenal. We've highlighted it so much, but this is another example of a game where they're playing at their own pace. Excellent timings. I know when we've spoken to Coach Sven, he's always talked about the preparation of these guys being so important. They understand how to play this lobby. And again, this looks like a game where we will probably see them in that top 5, top 4 towards the end.
Vanya Marius, they want this. They're starting to get a little bit of posturing now. 8th zone. They're ready to maybe try and make that approach towards holding height, but it's still very early.
Is this the Vanya Boo height game? Are we finally getting to see it here on land?
We finally got a chance here. 411 points. These are the ones that are essentially hot on the heels of that first place team. They're building out, looking for opportunities to reconnect. You see Marius focusing down that second height. It may not be an AR, but the damage is still there. But Flixie and Benno, they both go down. Biko's still 59 below the damage threshold. He does have minis. He does have some big pop, even a men miss. But the miracle thing is that Storm Surge is going to turn off. It's going to reactivate later on in this game, but at least he knows where he stands.
But they were just constantly teeter-tottering for far too long on that surge threshold. Mr. Savage in a very similar position. He's just trying to get out of the low ground, but he won't get the chance. Chap falls directly after him, and that's going to be a little bit of open ground now for somebody else to try and roll through in this ultimate lower layer. But still, Swizzy, Mustache, QUEASY, they are plotting for that height take.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you see a team fighting on zone transition. You want to be ready to rotate. These guys are QUEASY scouting out the rotate. Where can he find an angle to use that crash pad? Gonna have to create more space to do it.
That one's going to be easy. Gets to the other side with ease. He's not even distracted by the other players in his path. He knows, get to the front side of zone, control the pace, control the tempo, worry about it later. And there's very few players next to him on that side. Cammy, iDrop, Howdy going to be one of them. But on the high ground, there's not been very many teams that can contest them. Pixie, Marius, Vanya, this could be their chance to get that VR. And they get another elimination on the pump. Can they clean it up, though?
I like this from Vico, though, still just out of sight, out of mind, but he might be able to make a huge play if he can find another elimination. Said no, Vico jumped on first. That's going to be the dream ending here in Game 8 for Venom's team, but Alex resigns. They've just got a little bit more time, a little bit of an extension here. They're going to take the crash pad front side zone, but lower layers have already established themselves. They've got to be careful of not getting chopped out.
Pixie, Darm, Demus, waiting till the last second, crash pad into the front side of zone. Swizzy, Mustache, QUEASY, they have the materials. They did not play for the high ground. They're okay being down low in the dirt. They know they're the most dangerous team at this event, especially if you run into them. Kanata bolts rapid, scrambling around, trying to heal up. The splash is coming out, but that's the last of the white heals that Kanata has in his inventory. Up above, there's a team trying to put pressure down. You see them scrambling and forcing them to split up momentarily.
The respect, though, from QUEASY to still make the commitment towards the low ground. Meanwhile, Bolt, Kanata, Rapid, just doing everything they can to try and keep themselves up and in the running here. But iDrop, Cammy, they're still looking to break through. They recognize there's an opportunity here. There's a team that might be weak, but they're shooting into a box that nobody's even inside.
Those pulling to the south, they've got lots to figure out. Swizzy, QUEASY now as a duo. We've seen them dominate from the skies, but how good can you guys take it? Swizzy wants it, looks to chop. Pixie, Marius, Vanya. They've held on well for now, but this is the hard part. Can they continue to hold on as the 11th zone ends?
See the double pump coming out from Marius. That's not going to deal a ton of damage or even pressure. Marius is dropping down along with Pixie, staying to the backside of the zone. They're making sure nobody can flank him as Bolts takes down Cammy. He is a solo champion on land before in third parties. He's looking to have a masterclass performance here. 600 points. Swizzy is just trying to keep them going across that finish line, scrambling in and outside of the zone. The slurp juice just a little too late.
He just can't do it. Storm sickness coming into effect. They spent so much time outside of the zone, but now Watts trouble on the high ground here for Vanya Boo Boo. Watts still trying to see if he can commandeer it for himself. Gonna have to use the Flowberry Fizz. Probably only a matter of seconds before he might get chopped down or force the drop and enter the fight down below. Panzer Seti and Yapko, though, 11, they're so healthy.
Yapko, they're looking strong, but can they close it out on the low ground? Demus will fall. And so now, Seti, Panzer, Yapko looking to remind the rest of the competition that they are in it for the win. Watts has no more HP to hold on. The tree will be the only thing stopping it. They just need to connect with the final shot, and the Storm will do the job. They are the favorites, but right now in Leon, you must give them respect. They win game number 7.
Seti, Yapko, and Panzer. I started the day saying just a few big games away from that top spot. Frankie, they're just a few games away.
A bit more active here, trying to funnel teams around them. They want to see if they can make a play. Just to switch slightly higher up onto the elevation, utilize some of this natural map terrain, but they're still holding teams back. They don't want anybody rotating through them. Malibuka keeping a heavy eye out. Walks separate angle hold there too. But right now, they've got a little bit more time. It's the calm before the storm.
I think that's a little bit of an understatement, the way some of these games have been going on, especially today, where more and more teams are realizing the position that they are in on that leaderboard. They're realizing one of the only ways to come back is actually contesting that high ground, making sure Merstash, QUEASY, and Swizzy don't continue to run away with a tournament. I mean, they're doing the same thing. Him and Braze get active early on. They get another elimination on a mid-game. As the Arms just continue looking around, every team that crash pads to the zone, they're at least landing 1, 2, 3 crucial shots, which is where you see the difference right there from Coyote, Yuma, and Rice, is because they use the Flowberry Fizz with the crash pad to cover more ground, get higher up in the sky, and make it harder for them to get tagged up.
A little bit of a look back into what went down with Brazil. Phaser actually winning out, getting a good knock onto Cooper. And that's going to leave a very difficult entry point for Southwell, Arc, and School. They're not even going to be able to push through. Just completely forced back. The interruption so steep, but up on height. Watts, he's been knocked. He never had a chance to close it off. He's going to have to depend on Malabuka to get him back to safety, but they're going to have to forfeit height here, Jacob. Another team bound to try and jump immediately onto them, but Ping, Malabuka somehow brought back without much of a challenge, and that is actually insanity to witness. And it's the Surge underneath, that's the real problem.
It's not just Surge, it's active Surge on top of that. Alex and On resigns, they're trying to rotate away. They get some shots, but they're still 160 below. Every 7 or so seconds, 25 damage pours out, and you don't get knocked. You get straight eliminated. Crash Pad, Flowberry Fizz, they're doing what they can to rotate towards the zone, but it's QUEASY, it's Swizzy, it's Merstash on the other side. M8 versus M8. Malabuka have no choice. 128 below the damage threshold. QUEASY down, Swizzy, a sliver of HP. It's all up to Merstash.
But Merstash knows how to play it through as a solo. He can maybe clutch up big time here. He just needs a few more placements to continue in first place. Malabuka walks, Ping, still underneath that Surge threshold. They're trying, they're so desperate. Everybody around them knows it too. They're not trying to allow the opportunity to let these guys break through their build. But Merstash as a solo, what more could you possibly do? He's still buying points. He just needs players to fall around him.
I feel like if anybody could start to make this clutch happen, it's him. They are above the damage threshold, but no QUEASY, no Swizzy. They're not in this lobby, and that means a new team is able to claim that high ground. Pixie, Vanya, and Marius. Last time we seen them on this high ground, they weren't able to convert, but this is a second chance for them. And this is a big chance because we're still into the top 15. They have no eliminations for Merstash, Swizzy, and QUEASY. They only have 2 placements versus a placement point. This is how you close the gap.
They're certain to have seen what that elimination feed looks like though, but Demas, darn Pigs, seeing them control the low ground comes as no real surprise, but they know they've got to keep a hold of that front side. They're immediately going to start making their way towards it, but they still got to be careful. Height overhead, Merstash is a solo. He'll be forced to drop to ultimate low. Malabuka creeping directly underneath him, but Merstash, he doesn't realize it. He only has 6 builds. He's trying to conserve as much as he possibly can. He's just so quiet in the background.
Yeah, he's kind of waiting for the zone to force him out, let all these teams bypass him on this rotation, and hopefully try to get some sort of a sneak attack. PETERBOT holding Ritual still alive in this game as well, but their material count rather low. A lot of the teams being affected by the high ground and the pressure that they keep pouring down, but at least they're 134 above the damage threshold. When it comes to Storm Surge, I think they're good from here on out, and even Pixie from up above getting another knock onto Coyote. Alex cleans that one up, so Luke going on over to him, but they're just pressuring over and over and over, whether it's an AR, they're double pump, they're not letting any team look up.
It's an issue though. Alex resigns from the low ground. They might be able to pick off Yuma, but they gotta worry about Pixstar and Demas, who've essentially cut them off. They've completely surrounded Oceania. They're gonna be the ones to overtake the front side of zone now, and with Darm leading the charge, spraying back next to Pump, Pars, and Baca, but no one dares to challenge Poland underneath.
That was a good time to take him out. There are 12 placements worth of points still left, more than half still on the leaderboard. Resigns trying to go in. They lose Alex along the way. Underneath, they have to turn back. That's Kanata. They're wreaking havoc on the low ground. Resigns falls all the same. The whole team gets sent back to the lobby. Even Baca's feeling it. Cars has to go on by himself. Vanya's taken down Peter. Nobody has had a chance to look up. They're denying opportunity after opportunity. Marius, Pixie, and Vanya could go all the way.
Without Acorn or QUEASY in the lobby, we knew height was probably going to default to Vanya instead, but darn, Demas, Pigs, they refuse to give it up. They're still looking to bring this one home. Kanata has a solo. Marius with another elimination, just carrying all of the resources back to his Tarper. Vanya down to his final couple of builds, but thanks to that refresh, a little bit further, he can extend that height take. Pixie thought he could maybe drop. He's got Marius right next to him. They're causing so much catastrophe, but Pixstorm and Demas, that's a fight they might be willing to take.
I could count on one hand how many healthy teams are still left in this game. Kanata has no shot. He's trying to get as many placements before he eventually does go down. Vanya, I'm not sure what happened, but he gets knocked. Two players up on the high ground. Sphinx trying to battle back, but Pixie gets dropped. Marius falls as well. Pixstorm and Demas, the underdogs, are looking to take it all because they might be one of the only trios left in this lobby, but I spoke too soon. Darn goes down. They have to get the revive. They're the only team on the low ground in the zone.
Sphinx and Shadow, they don't have a chance. They can't push through. They know they need to find a way to break open. But darn, that's a big shot. That's all that they needed. Phaser, last man standing on high. Pig still trying to see where's this last player. He's looking to chop out Phaser. Whether or not Phaser can even drop, does he have the Flowberry Fizz? Will he fall before he gets the chance? He was hoping somebody else would deal with Poland, but Pix and Demas, this is it. Poskagura reigning through. Pix, Demas, and Darm bring it home.
From underdogs to top dogs. And with QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache going down early, that shoots them straight up that leaderboard. They look like they have been here for years. Frankie, we need to know their secret.
I don't know. Cheers, gonna come at a cost, but the double revive, they might be able to pull it off. They're gonna drop all the way down to the bottom of the mountain face, but it was too far. They weren't intending to stand themselves directly outside of the zone pool. The zone pool is saving them.
Yeah, the zone pool is truly a blessing for Aegis, Acorn, and Pollo because it also stopped them becoming a focus of that lobby on that side. But with QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache having some difficulties in this game, it leaves high ground open for none other than Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. Does anybody challenge that high ground for Noxy, Chino, Pablo? Would probably be one of my best bets, but you can see a huge amount of resources missing. 6 HP, only finding bandages, and eventually we'll go back to 2 empty slots.
There's so much metal, all these pre-existing builds, and not only that, but the shift in elevation. Pixie well overhead. He might be able to even see this team scattered through the low ground. They're trying to get whatever hidden positions they can, but Proxy, he runs into the wrong box. Proxy's immediately put down into the dirt. Pablo and Chino, they're gonna have to get it out the mud, and Pablo with the elimination onto Uppel now means that they're stuck inside the building. They've gotta break out.
But this is the point in time in the game. Top 17 teams still left alive. Placement points will start to click in with every team that falls and cascade further and further, with the eventual winner getting 65 points. But in the feed, you see Chino, he's going to go down.
Oh no.
Yeah, that puts pain and hunger inside, and Pix is now feeling that same pressure. He's gonna fall. Demas is being stuck by himself. He has to try to figure out a way out of this situation because they have no resources. Darn, they're separated just a little bit. No materials, and now the zone and somebody else moving in. But oh my, he does it again. Big Darn is gonna take down Pollo.
And this is exactly why they are the prospects of Poland. Darm just doing everything he can to make the impossible happen. But Marius, Pixie, Vanya, they're just so healthy overhead. Darm is gonna meet his demise at the hands of Mustache, but Mustache just not enough gas left in the tank. He's taken out. The rage coming through, the frustration is felt. So many placement points lost.
A ton of placement points lost. They got around the top 15. It is wide open if Pixie, Marius, and Vanya can figure out a way to win this game with a certain number of eliminations. For one of the first times today, we could see a new first place team. But Taco, don't let me get too ahead of myself. 2 different games today. We saw them on high ground and they faltered. This could be third chance to charm.
But look at the amount of materials they have, Jacob. 85 builds, and that's just on Marius. They are so strongly overhead. The rest of the lobby collapsing into itself. It's cannibalizing itself underneath them. They hardly have to do anything at all. Just spray, suppress, while Pablo continuing to try and push through the storm sickness, tearing away at his back. He finally manages to get inside the zone, but they've been chopped. Pixie saves himself at the last second with the crash pad, but it's Kanata. He's going up. Marius trying to stop it. Marius brings down bolts. There's no way he's gonna let this one slide away.
The win in its itself is not enough for them to take first. I said they need a certain number of eliminations. Well, that's one step further to taking that top spot, and now the pressure continues. Rapid scrambling around. He has a very little builds. Kanata, he is out. Not a single material left. The splashes are running out as well. Pings from M8 trying to make a miracle run continue. 373 points. It is on him for the solo clutch to pick up these points.
QUEASY's just a fan of everybody else in this lobby right now. He needs someone to take out height. He needs to see Vanya Boo Boo fall from the top of it all, but Clicks still trying to heal backside his own. He's got nothing left. Storm's gonna take care of him. Vanya, Pixie, and Mattias, though, refuse to budge. They're not gonna let this one slip through their fingers. For QUEASY, it's like grabbing in smoke, watching this lobby try to take them down. Muzz and Shadow still giving some hope. They are a fully intact trio.
There's only 3 full trios left in this game. Shadow, Sphinx, and Muzz are one of them, but they're getting pressured on the other side, on the low ground by King Phaser, PH in. They're trying to run around, take priority on the zone. They have beaten Muzz up this hill, but they're focusing on the high ground. They ran out of build. It's all turning sideways. Down goes PH in. King is scrambling. He's able to get one, but it's not enough. 3v3. The eventuality comes in. Marius is dropping down. He wants to finish the fight, but he's going to go down. Vanya trying to stay up. 2 different medkits. 2 splashes left, and it's a 1v3 situation.
Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow might have just done it. All they have to do is remain fully intact. Vanya still from up above. He's got a couple of chug splashes. He's got a couple of medkits. This might be our first heal up that we are witnessing, Jacob. He knows he doesn't have any other choice. He's got to fully retreat. Sphinx gonna be the last line of defense. He's violating going forward. He can't manage to figure out where Vanya is at, though. There's so much space in between them. Shadow still has 130 left in the Medmis, but Vanya, 4 bandages, still has the splashes. Is Storm Sickness going to come into effect, or will Shadow manage to do it with the Medmis? Vanya scrambling. He found another medkit. Where does it keep coming from? But he can't hold on. It's completely over. It was an excellent attempt, but Sphinx, Muzz, and Shadow, they find their one.
You saw Sphinx right there, letting them know. Multi-region champion Muzz showing up big, and the young star, Shadow, has showed up to take a big win. And he's using his own emote on him, showboat, and said, hey, you might be ahead of us on the leaderboard, but we know who's the king.
PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual, we just tuned in. 6 eliminations. That one's gotta feel good. Coming all the way over from NA to the global stage. Kind of that back and forth that happens between those 2 trios. That one's gotta feel good, but I can't lie, Taco, right? Ritual with 4 eliminations himself, showing what a year's worth of mechanical training can really do on the big stage.
We all witnessed the Richie 1v3s throughout the Divisional Cups, Vivid, and even in the majors, Ritual was putting up quite a stellar performance, but now things are going to fall directly into the line of sight here for PH, Zen, Phaser, and King. They've already spotted out 2 other teams based on mountains right next to us. These next couple of rotates could be rather difficult, but Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, they're still looking to press forward. They're actually trying to do it from underneath. They're hoping that they can just collect whatever leftover hard mats they can find.
With a sold-out crowd, you know they're going for M8. You know they're going for Havoc. So everybody at home, watching on Twitch, watching online, you need to give your energy to NA if you want to see a miracle comeback, because 2nd, 3rd, 4th place, all of them down. 5th place, that's Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, and a chance to close the gap, especially more so if they can figure out a way to take down QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache. But we're now into the top 17. This is where placement points are going to come into play, and they're going to start moving quickly.
Vivid, how you feel seeing this rotation by Savage? Reason and Chap, it looked relatively healthy, but they're not the only ones. Other teams in EU definitely making their presence known.
Yeah, the chase is on right now for a couple of our teams, namely Malibuco, Walks, and Ping. The aggression early, they want to go ahead and catch up to Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts, right? That's the only team that is currently alive that is ahead of them right now. And as I say, that pressure starts to rain in.
Why does this look like one of the practice lobbies right now, though? Down to our last 17 teams and only 6 zone. Ping, Walks, Malibuca, they're trying to see if they can bring down Agers and Acorn with it. Pollo's already been claimed. Acorn, Agers just trying to create a little bit of space, but they know this might be a fight that they can't avoid any longer. They're gonna have to try and take a crash pad out of here, but Malibuca, Walks, and Ping, they are fully wary of what lies ahead.
Yeah, and you can see in the mini-map, Acorn, Agers, they immediately rotated out with or without the reboot card. A couple more teams rotating in and around this path for Pings, Walks, and Malabuka. Could be opportunities for elims or more damage, but they see that coming. They want to continue to rotate in. Right next to them, QUEASY, Mustache, Swizzy, all trying to get this elevation differential for this next zone.
But just above them on the other side of this mountain face, Kanata, Rapid, Bolts, they see the crash pad. Mustache, he's been clipped. Mustache is brought down. Swizzy also incredibly low. They're going to be forced to drop all the way down. That height security that they were once hoping for has been completely lost here. QUEASY, the healthiest member of his team, but he's got nobody next to him. He can't get close to Swizzy.
And that's that investment. What goes around comes around. If you want to sit in Storm and fight between first and second place, you want that one to be drawn out. You want to invest everything you have into it. Once you realize that you got to make one of these rotations all the way up the mountain, all of these aimers kind of paying attention to you, you realize quickly you don't have what it takes to survive in this lobby.
Oh my, second, third, and fourth. I talked about them being out. And now fifth place has just lost their IGL and Rapid, and it's QUEASY and Swizzy that are doing the majority of that damage as they try to make their way into the zone.
But QUEASY can't get down. He has no mats. They were all on Swizzy and Mustache. They hadn't had a chance to actually drop any of their materials. He does see a crash pad. He's trying to bring Swizzy up with him. And now Swizzy manages to connect. What a brilliant play from QUEASY. Most players would have probably taken that for themselves, but he said, nah, you're coming back up here with me.
That's just a shine. That's just a glimpse. That is 7,000 IQ and the selfless plays and why we call him one of the greatest IGL. No, forget that. That's why we call him one of the greatest Fortnite players in the history of the game. And he's looking to prove it. If he can just close out these last two games, even with the loss of our stats, there's still 1,100 damage above the threshold as they land a couple more shots. Now 1,200 and continuously rolling.
But this is a really healthy trio. Cooper, Curly, Reed. I don't know that that's what QUEASY's really looking to chase up. He's not trying to bark up the wrong tree here after all. They've got to be a little bit more reserved here, Vivid. They don't want to overextend their welcome.
I mean, they're in the mix of things right now. They've gotten a couple of shots on a couple of trios right there. Maybe they can make something happen. As I say, that QUEASY actually gets knocked. Now it's going to be all left with Swizzy. Swizzy gets knocked down. First, second, third, fourth, all out of the competition.
They at least had some eliminations to go with it, but will it really be enough? The leaderboard will have to wait and tell a different story here. Malabuka, Walks, and Ping, though, fighting a battle of their own. They're now looking to see if they can overthrow the high ground. I drop Cammy, Hottie. They've been a little bit tagged up here, but it's Ping who eats the greater bulk of his shields there. Malabuka, Walks, now having to head towards the forefront. They're looking back. They're trying to provide some support. They have a slight placement on this side of the mountain, and they are looking down, and guess who's underneath them? PETERBOT. Cold, Ritual, Mr. Savage, Captain Reason, so many teams crashing onto this mountain base.
A good chunk of the top 10 overall back into the lobby. Even our fifth place team on that leaderboard missing a player, and one of the more important ones into Rapid as Phaser, PHN, King. They know they're not in zone just yet. In fact, they might have one of the farthest pulls in the entirety of the lobby. With Aspect, Tinka, QUEASY in their path, they want to continue to roll through. Even with the medkits, even with the minis, they realize they are lacking materials and a ton of them.
Paying attention to the leaderboard of the last global championship. No minor region teams in the top 10. King, Phaser, PHN, they're trying to make that push right now. When you want to talk about a push, Taco, boats towards the bottom of the mountain. No mats to work with. Top 5 as it currently stands. The push is on.
What a genius, though. Bolts recognizing that the zone's going to pull over this Big Ben tunnel face. He's going to take a little bit of a harbor safety inside. But King, he's got literally 1 HP and a dream. The small shield potion, he's managed to get it off. But Phaser, only 2 builds remain. He can't keep continuing to hold that leverage over King's head. Instead, Phaser holding on for dear life, but he needs to heal. He won't get the chance. He's going to be eaten alive by the lobby.
Oh, he drops the crash pad, but instead he goes straight up and back to the lobby with that elimination. That one's going to hurt, but a lot of those rank ups coming in, and that's an A rank upgrade. That could be fruitful for Bolts underneath, who has to start to think, who has to start to act quick because he has only 8 builds, no heals in his loadout, and no mobility on top of that as we're going high up the mountain.
Bolts doesn't even get a chance really to try stop and check. He's just making sure that he stays concealed towards that backside of zone. But on the high ground, Halad, Hero, FKS, they've actually managed to overtake one of the best positions that we've seen them in all weekend long.
PETERBOT, Cold, and Ritual, they don't want to walk away from this competition without at least putting some sort of a staple into it. They want to show everybody that, hey, listen, we had a tough time off spawn, but when we make it to the end game, we can put on a show.
Yeah, Bolts just went down off the side of that mountain. Their run in this game has come to an end. Did they get enough to move into the top four? But PETERBOT now battling for it all, and he is by himself. Cold and Ritual are all down below, and he's done it. He's gotten the high ground. He's gotten an elimination. Here he is. He's finally woken up from his slumber, and he's continuing to pressure down and stealing the high ground away. He joins Ritual and Cold on the other side and takes what's theirs.
Yesterday, PETERBOT said it's my day off, but today it's a whole new beast coming alive here in the final hour. FKS going to be taken out by Ritual. Aspect as well, claiming that series of eliminations, but Cold, PETERBOT, and Ritual, they're now kings of the mountain phase, and they might be kings of this lobby if everyone else isn't careful.
There's still more than half of the placement points still available in this lobby, and I think Reason knows it. That's why he's moving to the outside of the zone. He saw 3 different med kits, a replenished amount of materials, and this could be the difference maker in terms of point differential as that leaderboard goes down below. Malibuca, he's struggling all around, rejoins his team. The splashes are coming out, but they're in the backside of the zone. They're sacrificing HP to try to catch any team off guard.
It's because of the way that the zone is pulled over this slight bridge of elevation, though. Malibuca, Ping, they don't have a whole lot of builds. Malibuca is going to be forced to try and play heals, try and acquire whatever placement points are possible. The siphon materials going to give him a little bit of extra time and the 2 med kits, but still, he has to make his way forward, and he's going to have to crash directly into Reed, Cooper, and Curly. But the moment they head down, they're taken out by PETERBOT.
Reed just getting targeted from up above. He loses all of his materials, has no other choice, but another team contests towards the high ground. Cold, Ritual, and PETERBOT, they're 4 scrambling around, figuring out a way to reunite. The Flowberry Fizz does come out. That's Kisco, that's Striker, that's Kadu. They've taken down NA's best, but it's only for so long. Revenge comes in, and it comes in quick. Cold gets it down onto 1. No siphon just yet. He needs to buy time. No extra build, and he's facing Reason on the other side. But high ground disrupts the foe. Down they go. 3v3 here for the end game. Kami, Hadi, that's relatively loose because Eyedrop is down. Kadu, Striker, and Tisco, they could take it all.
And this is what the international scene has needed all weekend long, but no! Kami, Hadi, Kami's not going to be able to make it through. It's only Tisco, Striker, and Kadu left to deal with Hadi, but Hadi will be forced to charge forward. He tries to head towards the high ground, but he just doesn't have the HP. Tisco just needs one more shot, and he finds it! That's going to be the first victory royale here this weekend for an international scene.
The Brazilian region is on top. They've showed up. They've reached the top 10 in the leaderboard with a whole nother trio, and this is their chance to shine bright. Frankie, we need to know what they're thinking.
Leon! The finish line is approaching once more, but who will cross it first? The world has heard your noise all weekend long, but you must be louder than you have ever been before. This game is where errors come to an end and new ones are born. This is the last chance to forge legacies. This is where champions are crowned. So Leon, I've got 3 words for you. Are you ready?
It's all come down to this. Jacob, the final battle bus of the weekend is upon us. Legacies will be forged here. Levin's already called it out. I know that there's so much action that's taking place with some of these off-spawn contests, but there's only 2 teams that everybody wants to see right now.
Play.
This is where players really have to test their composure, the mental fortitude, the emotional control. It's so easy to want to hit the autopilot if you're in QUEASY's position. You start to see the lights. You start to think that could be us, our name. The crowd is chanting, but the same case scenario for Vanya as well. They're still looking to try and overtake first place. And if Mustache, Swizzy, and QUEASY get lobby focused, that could be the ultimate difference maker. But instead, Swizzy fires back. It's going to be a takedown. The elimination couldn't have come at a better time.
And that's 4 more points for them, inching themselves closer and closer to it being mathematically impossible for anybody to catch up. But again, no placement points just yet. That can truly shake things up, especially since they have a max pull across the map and a few teams trying to make and mirror that same rotation. First comes the crash pad, then the Flowberry Fizz, and they can continue that rotation until they make the zone. But Taco, more than half of this zone is over open water.
Not only that, but Swizzy, QUEASY, and Mustache, they are white line crash padding straight towards the next zone. The fact that nobody has taken a shot at them along the way, it's a bold maneuver, but it pans out heavily in their favor, and they're continuing to scale their way down. We saw Ritual get eliminated yet again. Saster striking for some teams in front of QUEASY, but better still, Seti, Panzer, and Yapko. They still got a lot to settle here in this lobby. They find another elimination onto Adapter. Valor already taken care of by Visuals and a Minish, but Braids on the other side of these walls. Seti can't continue pressing forward. They're stuck inside their own build. That is until Yapko finds the elimination onto Visuals.
Yeah, much needed elimination as well. They're only 8 damage above the threshold. That's not a feeling of comfortability at all. Now they go for 300, but dropping back down low. That just goes to show how active this lobby actually is. But they continue to steamroll. Mustache, Swizzy, and QUEASY find their 3rd elimination of the game, taking down NA West.
And you know that Vanya thinks the Amadius, they can see it all in the elimination feed. 3 additional elims for Swizzy, Mustache, and QUEASY. They have so much ground to cover just from placement points alone, and the elims are doing them no favors whatsoever. But Mustache, Swizzy, it's like QUEASY told them, just be off the leash, do whatever you want, just find those eliminations.
Up there it goes, School. Trying to drop down low. He's the first one to get knocked. Sauko followed in that trend. He was trying to be a hero, but ends up a 0, leaving Arc all by himself. That's a ton of pressure for one of the youngest, one of the most aggressive players on his region, but active surge for Pars, Pump, and Baka. 136 below the damage threshold. It does not matter if they have high ground if they can't utilize it, and nobody's giving them any peaks. So they're going to go ahead and utilize that Flowberry Fizz to get a triple heal going out.
They're stuck looking to heal instead of being able to look for tags. Malabuka watched them being put on so much pressure, but now that they've made their rotation, we're a little bit exposed. Not sure that was enough for Baka, Pars, and Pump to get across the finish line there for the third threshold. And now the medkit comes out. Baka doesn't have anything to work with. It's just those couple of crash pads. He might as well leave them somewhere for his teammate to pick up. But Pars, just looking at this loadout, Jacob, he's got barely anything to work with.
0 ammo in his AR. It's literally just 19 shots in that Wrecker revolver. Luckily for him, he at the bare minimum has Pump on his team. But underneath, sharks in the ocean. They're ready to take a bite out of NA West, but Malabuka's trying to beat him first. They crash pad towards the high ground, and they solidify it while Surge reactivates. Down goes Pump. Pars is now officially on the clock, which runs out, and he's out of the game for good.
But these audio cues aren't doing Malabuka's team any favors, because Verdoxy, Gino, Pablo directly underneath, more than happy to see if they can close in. They knew that there were weakened trios directly above them, but they just want to see how bad off are they really. They're still trailing underneath, but Wax, Malabuka attempting to hold height. They might only be a duo, Jacob, but they have so much surge.
62 points. That's the difference between first and second place. And the time is truly running out. They have to make sure QUEASY, Mustache, and Swizzy somehow go down outside of the top 8 as they continue to move through. It's becoming more and more impossible. There's 600 plus damage above the threshold. They're looking down to the backside of zone, trying to figure out where the weakness is for any of these trios trying to rotate in. Even with Kanata down below, they're lurking, no visual audios. But if you look at the sky, that's Marius, Vanya, and Pixie. But they lose Vanya throughout this mix. They're on that middle ground where all the chaos ensues.
Vanya just barely managing to start to get his life back up to a healthy level. Swizzy, Mustache, QUEASY though, they see the high ground. They're starting to go for the chop. Malabuka gonna be forced to drop eventually, but can Malabuka even get down in the first place? I don't think so. He's a victim of the lobby now. Swizzy, QUEASY, they don't hesitate. They're immediately surging upwards. They know height domination is where the thrill will be tested.
on the high ground right now. They're getting challenged, but they're fighting for it all. It's Pixie, it's Various, and Vanya. If they want the win, this is the moment right here. Swizzy goes down. Mustache has fallen. It is all up to QUEASY and Taco. There are more than enough points still left on the board for them to overtake the first place spot, but they have to survive. Vanya goes down. Marius is going to have to pop that slurp juice and reunite with Pixie.
But where's QUEASY? Pixie and Marius, they're so incredibly low. They're not going to be able to save Vanya. They'll at least get everything that he had to offer at the final moments. But Marius, Pixie, as a duo, they've got to find QUEASY. They don't know where he's gone off to. Seti in the low ground. If Marius and Pixie aren't careful, they might run smack dab into the center of where all the congestion is building at. But they're crash padding up. They're trying to get back on the height. They know what is in front of them, and they want to take it by force.
They already have second place locked in. It's all or nothing. Down goes PHC, but no! Marius is now down as well. Pixie with the pressure on his shoulders. You gotta remember though, QUEASY is down. They are 50 points shy. He needs to win, but he gets denied. Mustache, QUEASY, and Swizzy have done it.
It was the final moment. It was going to be so bittersweet, no matter the outcome for the gentle mates here, Jacob. But QUEASY has finally overcome. The GOAT debate has been settled. He is the GOAT of Fortnite when it comes to IGLing and as a player in general. And he's got two GOATs with him. It's Swizzy and Mustache.
But there's still hundreds of thousands of dollars split between these teams still left alive. A good chunk of them at the top of the leaderboard, including Pablo, who's trying to have that solo run, but that one gets ended, and rather quickly as he was by himself. Now it's Seti and Yapko. They're one of 3 teams left alive. Panzer's trying to move in, 20 HP. He's quickly running out of build. Seti as well, but he's gonna go out. Cammy, his invitational partner, has ended again. He ends his show. He said, no, you will not pass me. You will not take my money, as Cooper and Curly are still down below. 2v3 situation, 3v1. I drop Dari and Cammy win the final game of the day.
What an impossibly crazy finish. Nobody could have possibly anticipated that it would all come down to this final match in day 1. We saw QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache leading the charge. They had such a monumental lead over the entirety of the lobby, but it still all came down to the wire. They knew it was a marathon from the get-go, but they sprinted across the finish line to claim the title as your 2025 global champions.
A year-long journey just to get to this point. 12 games, almost 700 points, 3 victory royales. They have done it.
It almost seems as if it hasn't even fully keyed in yet. Mustache and Swizzy, they're letting everyone here in Leo know. It's gentle mates, it's Twisted QUEASY bringing home the title. Fellas, lift that trophy high!
Aujourd'hui et pour l'éternité, vos champions, QUEASY, Mustache and Swizzy!
Mustache, you have been to so many of these global events. You've never placed inside the top 10. How does it feel to be a global champion?
It feels nice. I can't believe it still. Like, we've been playing this year. We played so bad every grand. We should have won every grand, but now this is the day when we won.
You might not have won an FNCS major final in 2025, but that doesn't matter right now. You are the best team in the world. QUEASY, you are the greatest IGL Fortnite has ever seen. Can you believe it?
I mean, after today's performance, I don't know about that, but I mean, we pulled through, we got it, so that's all that matters.
Well, talk to me about today. Yesterday, we were all saying this trophy was surely yours. But this morning, those first 3 games, they didn't go your way. Did you think you were going to have to settle for second place again?
No, I was playing only for first. That's why we did what we did at the game 11, and I mean, shout out to them, because we went into this like thinking like 99% we're gonna win, and it pushed it to the last game. So shout out to Vanix Trio. Like, I don't even know. They did amazing.
Guys, I'm with Swizzy. Je peux pas vous le dire autrement. Swizzy a les larmes aux yeux. Swizzy est ému. Regardez, Sweezy, I saw the real tears in your eyes. How do you feel, Sweezy?
I feel amazing. Last year I couldn't play with my duo. Now I'm here and I win.
Cette année, c'était la bonne pour lui. Enfin la bonne. Il est tellement ému, Sweezy. Good luck for the future.
Guys, I have to ask, what makes this a world-beating team?
Them too, just fragging ability. I mean, they solo clutched the game 11 with 2v3. I don't know. I try to do my best. Today, I feel like I underperformed by a lot, but they pulled through and they got me the win.
Well, you're not going to think about that anymore because you guys have a trophy to lift. Guys, please take your position. To Le Mans, please, one more time, give it up for your 2025 Fortnite Global Champions. It's QUEASY, Swizzy, and Mustache!
I cannot believe it. In this moment, your global champions, QUEASY, Swizzy, Mustache, taking it all the way to game number 12. To think, Kelly, at the beginning of this year, this trio formed, and we thought, what the heck are you talking about? This sounds like a high-powered trio. To qualify, to bring it here, to push everyone else on land to their very limits, and now to walk away. Global champions. Guys, how does it feel? Swizzy, I want to start with you, bro. Anytime that you guys have performed well, I mean, the camera's been on you, you feel like a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. Those emotions flood through you, smile big. How does this moment feel right now?
I feel amazing. I think I did the most mentality in our team. Like, I saw their face our first game, and they say, like, guys, lock in.
Lock
Really
in. Dude, and you said yourself, right, the fact that past times you've not been able to play with your actual teammates. The moment you get to play with your actual trio, you win the global championship.
Yeah.
QUEASY, going all the way back to the Invitational, so close to claiming that first place spot, but you walk away in second. Last year, this same situation happens, and finally, you claim your rightful spot as a global champion. What has that journey been like starting all the way back in 2022?
I don't even know. I mean, from Invitational, literally like before game 12, I said, guys, please, let's not make it the same thing again. And I mean, we did it finally, so it's a crazy feeling.
Mustache, brother, I mean, you've been hearing it for 2 days now. They see you on screen, this crowd goes crazy. Did that push you forward? Did that make you more nervous anyway, in any way?
Not gonna lie, I want to say thanks to everyone who came here who supported us, because it meant so much for us. I think it gave me confidence, at least the first day. So yeah, I want to thank to everyone who came here and supported us.
All right, we got to talk about essentially the winning moment for you guys in game 11. I want to know what was going through the comms, whose idea was it, and how were you able to execute it?
Basically, half break, we went to VOD review, we watched zones, we were figuring out, because day one, our game plan was to get medal in bunkers. Day two, the bunkers were gone. 2 of the games we ran for it, they got taken before we could get there, and kind of messed up our game. And after I watched the VODs, we were supposed to go Foxy, but I said if it pulls the same, I saw Vanya tanking like Medmiss and Storm, and then padding. So I try to like go towards him and wait for him to pad and kill him out the air. That was the plan, but yeah.
I mean, obviously it worked out in your favor going for second place right there. QUEASY, that is why you are regarded as one of the best IGLs in the world.
I mean, and look, QUEASY, I don't know why you're down on yourself right now. I mean, Swizzy Mustache, this guy's been your IGL, and he's not giving himself the props that he rightfully has earned. I saw you walk up to that trophy and shed a tear. I saw you smile big when you lifted it. Brother, you're a global champion, and not only that, you've got EU their first global championship title right here, right now. Leon, make some noise for Swizzy, QUEASY, Mustache! Forever in history, you guys have made a moment in Fortnite. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna let you guys go. Take this trophy, get out of here, go celebrate global champions. Congratulations again. You can leave your